Thank you very much for staying with us. My guests have joined me on phone and via Zoom as well. Henry Nana Boakye will join us. He's the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party. Mustafa Gbande, he's actually the deputy national secretary of the National Democratic Congress, the NDC. He will also join us. But currently I have with me Dr. Amakye Boateng. He's a political scientist with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Doc, you're welcome to our front.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing, Doc?
I'm going good.
Well, unfortunately, we lost Dr. Amakye on the telephone via Zoom as well. And we are having a discussion on the Assin North By-Election. We are actually interrogating the vote buying allegations leveled against the New Patriotic Party. In fact, the National Communication Officer of the NDC, Stanley Jemfi, leveled this allegation that it appears that the NPP is actually buying votes and sharing so many items to convince electorates to vote for the NPP in Assin North by-election. Now, if you look at the Assin North area, for instance, it was formerly the Assin area where we had the North and the South. And then in 2012, the NDC, when there was some change, we actually restructured the constituency from 2 to 3, where we had the North, the South, and the Assin Central. Now, if you look at the data for the Assin North, the Assin area, for instance, was predominantly an NPP, seat right after 2000, where Honorable Kennedy Japan was actually manning the northern part of the Assin North. But right after the division was actually made in 2012, we had Honorable Kennedy Japan actually moving to Assin Central, leaving the North to be battled between the NPP and the NDC. Thankfully, we've been joined again. Dr. Amakye Boateng is still on via Zoom. Doc, I was asking how you were doing.
I'm good, by the grace of God. Thanks for asking.
Well, first question, let's start with the basics. Do you think the political parties are actually ready for this Assin North by-election?
They've been ready for a while now. Anytime we have a by-elections, they have the opportunity to deploy all their resources. So, they are ready. They've been in this business for a while. Political parties, all they do is to prepare themselves to get into government and serve the nation. So when it is time for elections, they know how to go about it. We've been doing this for over 20 years now. They are very good.
Well, we've had actually 2 by-elections. We had the first one in Kumewu. The second one is on Tuesday, Assin North. How different are these 2, by-elections?
That's interesting. They are different given the fact that, politics is necessarily domestic. So when you take a look at the constituencies and the way things are managed in the constituencies, the needs and stuff like that, this gives Ghana, and in fact any other democracy, the distinctive differences that you come across in the various constituencies. And so at the end of the day, we have got political parties having some areas as their strongholds, other constituencies coming up as swing areas, and so on and so forth. Kumawu is a stronghold of the NPP. They were going to win Kumawu even if they had not, done anything by way of, the government coming down to provide some infrastructure amenities for the area. Even if, in the case of Kumawu, if they had not done anything, they were going to win. Kumawu is a strong place for the NPP. You cannot say the same thing for Assin North. So far, it's giving itself the feature of a swing constituency. And this exactly, establishes the difference, the major difference between the two. It has got its own history. And then this time, in the by-elections that we'll be going into, the candidates for the 2 parties are all very strong in their own ways. All of them, before coming into active politics, have been on the ground engaged, and they have been engaging the people there in developmentally related issues. So we're going to go into an exciting elections in Assin North.
Right. Thank you very much. Mustafa Gbande, who is the Deputy National Secretary of the NDC, just joined us via Zoom. Mustafa, are you prepared for Tuesday? Hello, Mr. Gbande. Kindly unmute. Can you hear us, please?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you now. We are very prepared.
Yeah, I can hear you.
We are very prepared for Tuesday.
All right.
We've been campaigning, and Tuesday,
All right.
we are very much ready for Tuesday. Unfortunately, the so-called interventional programs from government, i.e. road construction, and the manner in which it's been done, coupled with the rains, have made the road networks very difficult for us to assess. But we are still trying to find ways to manage. If their contractors have actually destroyed the roads, because you cannot do construction during the rain season. Unfortunately, that's what the MPP government is doing. And so it's destroyed the road networks, but that will not affect our campaigns.
Right. So if you say so, then I begin to ask you one question.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Well, if you look at the data, for instance, the Assin North area is not one that you can boldly say that is an NDC stronghold. If you look at the data, the winning probability is around 33% for the MPP and 66% for you. Will you agree with me that this election is actually yours to lose?
Well, I do not agree with you. The facts are that apart from the figures which you have, the statements to the issues are such that you are dealing with a government that cannot boast of putting food on the table. You are also dealing with a government that have not undertaken honest governmental projects and programs for the people of Assin North. If you put these things into consideration and you also look at the strength in terms of what Honorable Agyei comes on the table with, his track record and relationship in the constituency, his structure and personality, you reconcile the fact that clearly it is an election for the NDC to win overwhelmingly because we have a good track record. Government is working in bad faith. I just told you that it is only Nanado-led government that will undertake road constructions in the rain season. And that has further worsening the issues, the road network. The AstroTurf that they're boasting about is the lake as we speak today because it's been done with poor construction engineering. And so we believe that if you put all of this together, it's an election for the NDC to win, considering the hard work that we've put into this election.
Now, in 2020, you won with more than 55%. What exactly are you doing differently this time around? You know, elections they don't guarantee, absolute results. So what are you doing differently this time around? Especially when this is a by-election that anything can actually happen.
The promises that we gave in 2020, which led to our winning that seat, were much to do with infrastructure interventional programs by the MP, quality representation. He's promised to have a very good relationship with the people. And that is what exactly Honorable Agyei have been doing in the last couple of years. He's lived very well with the people, which is why the MPP cannot boast of a voting candidate from that constituency, and they have to go and borrow somebody from Takwan Soyem, who is philanthropic in that constituency, Assin North, to come and represent them. So clearly they have an unmatched personality in that constituency to Honorable Agyei. Now, if you look at things that he has done on the ground, building of schools, provision of street lights, other facilities, street light that he has done for them, provision of agri-interventional programs such as fertilizers, helping them with chemicals over the years, school fees that he has paid for the farmers in that constituency. We have achieved more than he has promised. And that the fact that this by-election is a national action in nature, and government itself come in with a very bad and poor track record, no performance, zero performance. They are coming at a time where they have tried to do some projects to catch up, but the rainfall has actually exposed them. They are living with clear evidence of destruction that this government have caused. And I'm talking about the Pra River. If you go to that river as we speak, you will see that clearly what we have been talking about, government being associated with Galamsey and illegal mining, they are a living testimony of such destructions. And all of these impact on the communities and the people negatively. These are the things.
But Mustafa, I'm sure you agree with me that Galamsey didn't start. Galamsey didn't start 2 or 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Well, it is strange that currently you have senior government officials and ministers are the ones doing Galamsey, when it was just an issue of village folks and people who live around the mining areas.
Those are very strong allegations. Do you have any evidence to back such claims?
Very much evidence, very much evidence. The Ashanti Regional Chairman is the clear evidence of illegal mining. Government itself, you have seen a senior cabinet, a minister of the Danado-led government, mentioning names of government functionaries within the Jubilee House who are involved in illegal mining. The special prosecutor is currently investigating same. And so these and many more are the evidences. Otherwise, let government demonstrate his commitment. Let government show us evidence of his effort in fighting illegal mining. So the Pra River is an example of the destruction that this government have caused to vegetation. They have destroyed the river bodies, and the people are living it. It brings health implications. Government that refuse to give water to the people have destroyed the water bodies that they depend on. All of these issues are going to play into the election. I'm surprised that senior government officials, including His Excellency the President himself, is not worried and is not ashamed that this is what his government has meted out to the people of Assin North. That he could not add value to the people, but rather taking away from them what nature has given them. That is what this government has contributed to the people of Assin North.
Well, let me bring in Dr. Boateng. Now, Doc, the NDC is actually presenting Gyekye Quayson for the second time to contest. Now, we all know what has happened, Supreme Court's judgment, and the fact that Parliament has actually been instructed to expunge his name from the records. Do you see any opportunity cost with this, bringing Gyekye Quayson back for the second time?
Definitely, yes. The set of things that have befallen him ever since he became the Member of Parliament for the area, to the best of my knowledge, are expected to inure to his benefit. I expect the people there who voted for him the last time round to want to do so. The man has not changed when he became the Member of Parliament. He has been himself as far as his engagement with the constituency is concerned. Two, given the challenges that he has had to go through of late, I expect the people there to also give him sympathy votes. Sympathy votes. The first one came from the encounter at the Supreme Court. And now the second one, coming up with a criminal case against him, I expect this to be translated or interpreted as, some sort of harassment, coming from, our politics. And I expect all these to translate into sympathy votes for him. One will have to acknowledge the fact that the MPP's candidate is going to put up a very strong show, because on his own, the information reaching me indicates that he's also been on the ground, he's also been engaging people, he's a philanthropist. Understand that he comes from the area, has never shown interest in politics, but here we are, he's now coming up to contest. I don't know the extent to which he as an individual is going to be energized to actively engage the people, to let them know that yes, he is interested in leading them as their parliamentary, as their member of parliament. I don't know the extent he's personally, engaging them, showing energy, a clear, natural interest. I don't know the extent he's doing that. In the absence of that, you expect that Mr. Agyei definitely shown interest himself. Because of that, a lot of terrible things have befallen him. Expect him to benefit from all these, situations that have gone through.
Right. Now, Mustafa Gbande, have you actually done your cost-benefit analysis? And are you ready to bear the consequences there of bringing Agyei for the second time? Right, so we've been joined by Henry Nana Boakye. He's the... Right, Mustafa, kindly make your point.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm saying that there is nothing for us in the NDC to worry about, except to say that the government is throwing arrows to frighten Honorable Agyei. They are empty arrows, frivolous charges they will never be able to establish. They are using state machinery to persecute an individual who have done nothing, who have not committed a crime, whose crime is that he's come from abroad to lead his people. Frankly speaking, he's more credible than the MPP candidate. The MPP's candidate is a borrowed candidate who is not a voter in that constituency, and we've been saying this. Again, clearly they are doing that because constructional activities that they would have done has been exposed by the rain. I earlier on said that the astro theft that they've been boasting about was done in a hurry with a very poor constructional engineering. It is only the MPP that will do that. And so when you put this together, we don't have an opportunity cost except to agree that come 27, the NDC will retain Honorable Agyei as the MP for the place.
Right. Let me bring in Henry Nana Boakye. He's the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party. Mr. Boakye, are you prepared for Tuesday?
Yes, we are prepared for the big success. We've worked so hard. We have executed effective campaign. So we have no doubt that on Tuesday we will be declared victorious at the end of the polls. But however, I think I listened to my brother Mustafa Gbande. There's unwholesome start of the NDC with the consent of always trying to bastardize the court. It's unacceptable. It is the only place we have for to safeguard our democracy. Look, we have had the former president, who was the president. We appointed an attorney general that general prosecuted the former member of parliament for Boko Central for similar offense. Similar charges were slapped on him. So sometimes it appears that they've forgotten the past. Then they want to run down the court. It is unacceptable. That is the only thing we have. And repeatedly, they want to say that how can you say that the MPP is using state machinery to prosecute
Mr. Quayson?
Mr. Quayson, how can you say that? Mr. Quayson himself was rejected by the NDC in 2012. He was rejected by the NDC again in 2016. He was rejected again in 2020, and then he ran it. Live. Look at that. That he has all his documentation now correct, and he doesn't hold any allegiance anymore to Canada.
So are you saying Mr. Gyakye Quayson's first choice was the NPP?
No, I'm saying that he was rejected by the NDC. No, he started coming to the NDC. He started, having this aspiration of contesting for an MP in 2012 on the NDC ticket. And then they knew this, they rejected him. They knew it again in the year 2016. Again, they rejected him. 2020, similar thing happened. And then he ran off to Accra. Their general secretary passed him. So how can they blame their incompetence on the innocent electoral commission? Sometimes surprised, and they keep saying it. They have a penchant of bastardizing the court. They keep saying it. And you see, we need to protect the sanctity of our democracy. That is the only place we have. That is the only place we can go to. So when you have and that is what they've been saying on the ground. But it is the same court that convicted Honorable Adamu Sekande. It is the same court that instructed the Electoral Commission to conduct a by-election in Bokosandra. Look, we are very confident and bold that we are going to win these elections. We have executed numerous projects. You were talking about AstroTurf, and then we have had downfalls for 4 days. Look, former President Mahama, who built the Terminal 3, immediately he finished, we had some slight downfall, and the entire place was flooded. The entire place was flooded. Is he aware of that? Double standard being exhibited by the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC.
No, Mr. Agyei, I have actually checked all your budget statements from 2017 to 2023. And the only instance where an allocation was made for Assin North in terms of projects, here I'm talking about the poverty reduction project, was in 2019, where Assin North was supposed to benefit from some infrastructure projects. I feel that you've been making a very wrong assumption, especially, for instance, this AstroTurf is funded by Ghana Gas. So if you do this, you'll be confusing yourself, and I'm sure you have not put this out there, right? I'm sure you have not put that out there, because if you do that, you will be confusing your listeners and then your viewers. Only asking because why actually the rush in getting all of these projects done within this short period of time? Major project. They have a major health facility under Agenda 111. They have a district hospital now. Tomorrow, His Excellency the Vice President is coming here. He's going to commission the technical road right from Assin Praso through to Assin Pana through, right? His Excellency the Vice President again will be commissioning the AstroTurf. And then he'll be commissioning another major infrastructure development. That is the bridge. They have a very huge, 70-meter long. That is moving from the Kushina area into Junkwao. If you put together the educational infrastructure, health, water, sanitation, rural telephony, if you put together all of this road infrastructure, we are talking about close to 120 completed projects. Look, if the NDC's campaign is confused, they should not blame the MP for it. We are focused. We are executing an effective campaign. We are making sure that we win elections on Tuesday, free, fair, credible, and transparent. Now, the NDC's claim is that you are doing all of these to buy votes. Do you agree with that? Doing all of what? Projects. But these projects started way back. How can you finish or start and complete a 32-kilometer road project in less than 2 weeks or even a month? So is it just coincidental that you are commissioning all of these projects in 2023 when we are about to have a by-election? I'm surprised by this question. These are completed projects. It must be commissioned. When you complete projects, you commission them.
So these are completed projects. You move right into the Kushan area, what is being constructed into Assin North. They are happy. The people here are happy. They are celebrating the new Patriotic Party. And quite recently, the Assin chief alluded to this fact. He himself said that, yes, they have been numerous infrastructure interventions, and he's happy that the MPP has executed them. I mean, the video went viral. So is he also, in fact, the chief himself said that anybody who will say that we are executing all of these projects because of by-elections is not correct, because for him, he's seen all of these projects coming up years before.
Now, the
it
end
appears
is
that they are confused. It appears I don't know how to direct their own campaign. Look, we have executed an effective campaign. We are hoping and seeking to make sure we win these elections on Tuesday, free, fair, credible, and transparent. Nothing untoward is going to happen. I've keep saying this. We came to meet Assin North in peace. We are going to win these elections, and we are going to leave Assin North in peace.
now. Are you actually distributing? Are you distributing knapsack sprayers and fertilizers to canvass votes?
Let me address it. You see, that is the more reason why they were fighting our candidate. You know why? Because he is philanthropic in nature. This foundation, and he's been doing this. In fact, when Assin North had his district, they started operating from his own house. He gave his own house free of charge. He's been able to train more than 1,000 young persons in different workforces. He's been able to support farmers with fertilizer, with knapsack, with chemicals, and all of that. So his foundation keeps doing this, and everywhere we go, these are aware that, hey, Charles Obobo, you are here. Can you help us with this? For him, he is known for this. I went to one village in Aguntab where there was a child who had an eye tumor. He had even forgotten about it. He paid money for the child to receive full medical care. Full medical care. We went to one particular church, and the parents came to give testimony as to how Charles Oboku paid his son's school fees because they had sacked him from the school. We went to one particular church in Akonfo, the Methodist, and the priest himself was showering praise on Charles Oboku because of the many interventions he's done for the youth, and that almost about 20 young persons from the church benefited from the training he gave to these young persons. As I speak, he's been able to help residents here renew their NHIS card, or even if you don't have one, he will pay for you to have one free of charge, close to about 8,000, right? That is his foundation doing it. So
Right.
his foundation has been doing a lot.
Right. So stay with me.
I'm saying that if the NDC is confused, they should not visit their confusion. as
Right.
MPP.
Right.
We are very, very, very focused. We are determined to win these elections, and we are going to win. You see, I now understand why they were fighting Charles Oboku. You remember that the NDC kept writing letters back and forth, and then the EZ also responding. I now understand why, and they particularly mentioned Charles Oboku's name in it. And I also heard Mustafa saying that he's a bold candidate because he doesn't vote in the constituency. He was born and bred here. His father is from Assin Breku. His mother is from Assin Breku. He went to Assin Breku basic school.
But
He
Mr.
went to
Boakye, this same
secondary
candidate
school.
we are talking about, confirm from me, can he vote on Tuesday in this by-election?
You see, the problem is that instead of them to be concerned about somebody who stayed in a work for 45 years and use an MD as a retirement package, they are even celebrating. Somebody stays in a work for 55 years. He doesn't have any tax in the constituency. He has not done anything. He does not even have a house in his own hometown. He's operating from his house. And somebody who deems his house as disrespectfully to be fully operational. And then somebody who doesn't even have a house. He is empty. He comes to the constituency, he does not even sleep there, and then he moves out. So this our candidate, he gave his own house. That candidate, he doesn't have a house. He's operating from his mother's house. So if somebody says that he is not voting in the constituency, and so what? Somebody who is helping people.
So he can't vote, right? He can't vote.
But I've made that point on your network already. I've made it a point on your network already. The law is clear. You have to be 21 years and above. You have to be a Ghanaian, and you have to be a registered voter. He is a registered voter, and he's going to win the election.
Right, Mr. Bachi, stay with me. Let me bring in Mustafa Bandit. Mustafa, do you have evidence to back this claim or allegations of vote buying?
Basically, Nana B will admit that we've captured them on videos distributing fertilizers, distributing knapsack sprayers, and all of you. Quite a few days passed.
Well, he's saying this distribution of knapsack sprayers and fertilizers is not new.
Well, it's not news, but it is only to validate the fact that Nana B and his government must bow their head in shame for not being able to boast of putting food on the table of the people of Assin North. That in spite of the worst economic challenges they have visited on Ghanaians, they have decided to harvest the little resources that we have to come and waste and to come and use that as a conduit for vote buying exercise. I just heard him talk about after test. That was supervised by poor people who cannot understand what construction means. Clearly, they've done that in the whole land area, and if you there, you see that if due diligence was done, if proper care was taken, they wouldn't execute that project over there. Now, he's talked about the judiciary. Let him bow his head in shame that one of the best legacies of his president, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, is that under his tenure, the independence, the credibility of the judiciary have been so damaged to the extent that people lack confidence in the judiciary, such that when judgments come from the judiciary, they can read political lenses into it. That if you're supposed to treat an individual, a Ghanaian, in this manner, Ghanaians should not have a concern to be worried about. That we should go and sleep, because Nana B and his government think that it is right for a court to say that someone who have not killed, someone who have not stolen money, in spite of the fact that senior officers of government are engaged in several scandals, that an individual who just came to Ghana, renounced his citizenship, participated in an election, that because the election was nullified, he has become the most wanted criminal, he should not contest for an election, and that he should go to court every day. He must bow his head in shame. He must bow his head in shame. And that we believe that come what may, we will win the election on 27. But history will prove them wrong. That what they have engaged in is that in spite of the hardship, in spite of the underperformance of the government of His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, what they have decided to do is to harvest all the resources meant for the people of Ghana to come and dispose them of in Assin North, just because they want to satisfy themselves in Parliament to say that they have reduced a seat of the NDC. That is not going to happen.
Right. Let me bring in Doc. Doc, if you look at almost all our by-elections, I mean the recent ones, if you look at Ayawaso West, Wogon, Kumewu, and then even, Assin North, so many allegations of vote buying. Is it the case that it has become impossible to win, an election without buying votes?
I don't think that is necessarily the case. Generally, I think the underlying factor that really sort of add some sort of venom to this issue of vote buying has got to do with poverty in the system. When people who live in the cities go to the village, whether they are politicians or not, there are people coming to them to engage them to, get something from them. Even when you are not a politician and you go to the village, you go to the countryside, you will not be just, left alone. You will have to simply part with something. But the moment you decide to participate in our politics, the understanding is that, you are going out there yourself to, in a way, make some wealth, to live better than you have been living. And so people think that it should be possible for you to give them something. This need not necessarily mean that they are going to vote for you, genuinely. But then when it comes from the politicians, when the politicians take the initiatives to, flood the areas with resources, especially during by-elections, it becomes clear that there's a conscious effort to affect people's vote. This one, it comes from the politicians. That has been the case almost all the time. Anytime we have by-elections, the government of the day simply put together a lot of resources and go out there to try to affect the area. There's a gentleman here who has visited Assin North. He works at an FM station, the host of a morning show. And he gives, a report of the place. But his first impression is that the place is very deprived. It's a deprived area. And then now you have all sorts of projects simply being revisited. Some of them have been started, left, if you like, half finished for a while now. All of a sudden, you have contractors coming to site and, working very hard. These really give one an impression that there are conscious efforts to affect the votes of the constituents there. One cannot help call such developments efforts to buy votes.
So will you term this as vote buying?
You don't necessarily need to buy votes to win by-elections. It is almost becoming a norm in Ghana's politics in the Fourth Republic that anytime there's by-elections, the government of the day tries very hard to win, even if the place is not necessarily their stronghold.
Well, Mustafa, the data actually shows that I shared the data, you disagreed. But I want to ask, you were able to get 55%. And the data actually shows that there have been 3 elections since 2012. And this time around, the NPP is in the constituency full swing, bringing everybody on board. Don't you think that this is going to affect your performance on Tuesday?
Please come again. I didn't get the initial part.
I was asking, you were able to get 55%. That was very good. But I'm saying that the heavy presence of the NPP in the Assin North constituency, and if you look at the project they are doing, don't you think that this is going to affect your performance on Tuesday?
Actually, I see, a keen contest, come the day of the election. I see a very keen contest simply because of the 2 personalities involved. But not necessarily the presence of the NPP. If that is anything at all, then you expect the people there to be rational and to understand that the NPP's heavy presence, the resources they are pouring out, are all directly linked to the elections. After all, they left those projects there and the roads were left, half done. People there say that in the last elections, when the NPP's candidate lost the elections, all the projects that the government, had been working on came to a halt, only to come alive with this issue of the predicament of NPP's member of parliament there. So ordinarily, you expect the people there to be rational and to see through, if you like, the actions of the government of the day. But then, their candidate himself on his own, long before, he came out as someone who also want to lead them as a member of parliament. The gentleman has been affecting the area, and I hear he has done significant, things there. He's impacted on the community significantly. To me, that is what is going to count, and not necessarily the heavy presence of the NPP.
Well, Doc, this is the first time that Assin North is actually voting skirt and blouse in the 2020 elections. In previous elections, they either vote for one party in both parliamentary and presidential. Is this a strong indication that Assin North definitely wants Gyakye Quayson?
In fact, Mr. Gyakye Quayson made a strong show the last time round. And like I said earlier on, he stayed with them. Even though he's not in government, he's done his best for them. They appreciate him a lot. He did so well, far better than what the presidents got there in the constituency. He, to me, stands as the favorite candidate to win the elections on Tuesday. I would like to make that argument. They like him. They like him. They see through his sincerity, his desire to help the place lift itself up. They see him as a real leader of the place. Wow. They like him. Mm.
Well, Mustafa, you seem to be the favorite for Tuesday, but don't you also think that the heavy presence of the NPP will probably skew your performance on Tuesday?
Well, what is very clear is that little David, the NDC, and Honorable Gyakye Quayson is battling with the mighty giant corrupt MPP and their candidates. But what we so believe is that we have a good faith. We have a good relationship with the people. We have come into this election with clean hands. His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo and his government are battling with huge rating of corruption, non-performance, putting Ghanaians in hardship. All these are going to reflect in this election. And so we are confident that given the fact that they are sharing money left, right, center, given the fact that they have harnessed state resources into the election, the NDC is confident that integrity is what matters in every leadership role, and that the people of Assin North remember that Honorable Gyakye Quayson has been with them, have served them, harassed by this government left, right, and center. He's shown good faith, and so they will reward him with a victory come 27th of June.
Right. Doc, your final comments. Do you see this by-election as a perfect litmus paper for what will actually happen in 2024?
By-elections have their own peculiarities. I don't necessarily look at it that way. Assin North is not necessarily a place that you want to capture as cosmopolitan. So I don't think it would be fair to use the by-elections there as signs of what is in store for either of the two political parties. My argument is that the peculiarities of the place, generate the features of its own politics. I don't think we can use what is happening there to, in a way, try to have some understanding of national politics and what is in store for the presidential candidates from 2024. I don't see it that way.
Well, Mustafa, your final comments.
We just hoping that Ghana Police Service will demonstrate good faith. Because what we are currently battling with is that the MPP, knowing that they are not popular on the ground, intends to cause some disruptions in our strongholds on the day of election. We have evidence of police officers wearing a mask, and that we believe that clearly that is not acceptable. We also do know that they have deployed some police officers, some individuals on motorbikes
who have been trailing our campaign team. We have alerted the police that that is not policing and that we believe that our privacy is being intruded upon. And so we want to believe also that the suspicion that the MPP has flooded the place with invisible forces will be handled by the police, as we depend on them for protection and a peaceful election throughout this exercise. We have earlier on stated that the NDC will not countenance and will not tolerate any form of intimidation from whosoever as far as the election is concerned. We want to have a very peaceful election. We want to leave the communities as they are.
Right.
Whoever wins the election wins the election.
Right.
We would accept that. But anything short of that is something the NDC will not sit well with.
Right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me for such an important conversation.
Thank you very much.
Henry Nanabuache is the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party. And we're also joined by Mustafa Gbande. He is the deputy national secretary of the NDC. And Dr. Amuako Boateng, political scientist with the KNUST. That is where time will allow us to peg our conversation. There's always more on myjawonline.com. Do stay for Joy News Prime.